Hi friends, I'm a financial advisor with 20 years of experience. Have you ever heard the advice, save as much as you can, start saving as early as you can, and you'll have as big of a nest egg as possible when it comes time to retire? That's fine if you want to optimize on your bank account. But if you want to optimize on your life, there's a completely different strategy that I think is much better. Stay tuned and I'll tell you how. Hi, I'm Asul Wells. I help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, executives, and everyday next-door millionaires like yourself live their best lives, live their best retirements. Today, I'm going to talk about a strategy that a lot of financial advisors give to their clients, and it's great advice if what you want to do is optimize on your investment account. But if you want to optimize on life, which I think when many of us think about it is really what we want to do, I think it's a better strategy. Here's the basics. Number one, in your early years, you're not making much money. And trying to save $10,000 a year, $20,000 a year, whatever the number is, that's going to mean there's a lot of experiences that you give up, that you don't allow yourself to do. And some of that is fine. But I also think there's another way to do it, and that is being cognizant of the fact that you're motivated, you're watching videos like this, you're looking for ways to make yourself the best version that you can be. People like that are likely going to do very well in their later years. You're going to figure life out and you're likely going to be making much, much more money later in life, but you're not going to have the time that you have earlier in your life. So my strategy is for those types of people, motivated, ambitious people, that are going to be financially successful in their lives. Why not borrow from your future self and give yourself permission to enjoy more of life when you're younger and you have the time to do it and you have flexibility in your life? And it's really the concept of mini retirement. So this isn't advice just for people in their 20s and 30s. This is also advice for people that are in their 40s, 50s, and early 60s. And that is, give yourself flexibility, give yourself time to explore what this endpoint, what this retirement looks like. Too often we work in a job and we save money and we sacrifice experiences today. We sacrifice quality time with our children. We sacrifice building relationships and keeping existing relationships. We sacrifice our physical health and our mental health in order to give 110% to our careers, with the idea that at some point in our lives, we're going to be able to slow down. We're going to be able to enjoy the good life, whatever that is. But the problem is you kind of forget who you are along the journey, and you don't want to do that. You want to stay true to yourself. You want to iterate and experiment just like you would with your career, right? And I want you to do the same thing with your life. The idea of retiring and sitting on a beach and sipping margaritas probably is not the retirement that's going to bring most of us joy. And so this strategy is optimize on your life. You also want to be cognizant of your career, and you want to be cognizant of your investment status, where you're at towards reaching your goals. But give yourself some freedom to borrow some time, to borrow some money from your future self in order to explore really what your passions are. The idea of working for a long period of time and now all of a sudden you're at your destination, you're financially independent, you can retire. I can tell you, many, many people forget what their passions are along the way. They forget the dreams of their youth, either because they were so distant from where they are today or because their risk profile has changed. Hang gliding across the United States might sound really exciting for somebody in their 20s. For somebody in their 50s, the risks probably outweigh the benefits. So there are chapters in your life when you can pursue certain dreams, and then those dreams give way to discretion. There are certain dreams, there are certain activities that you can only do when you're younger, or you're much more likely to do when you're younger. And this is the concept of mini retirements. The American recipe for retirement looks something like this: work, save, invest, let rise for 30 to 40 years, and enjoy with a sprig of reading glasses and a dash of arthritis. I think that's crazy. I think what we want to do is enjoy the journey along the way and also find out more about what that destination, what that goal looks like. So rather than work 30 to 40 years straight and save as much money as you can and sacrifice along the way and tell yourself you're going to enjoy your retirement when you get there, enjoy the journey, slow down, allow yourself to spend some of your money along the way, and most importantly, allow yourself to take some time along the way. You know, there's this whole movement, FIRE movement, financially independent, retire early, and I think that's great for a lot of people, but it's not for everybody, right? It's not about rushing to the destination. I would argue it's about enjoying the journey and learning as much about yourself and those that you care about along the way so that you make a better decision on what your destination is. So rather than work 40 years straight and then retiring, maybe you're going to retire at 60, I propose a different model, which is maybe you work until you're 65, but along the way, you take a half a dozen or 10 6-month periods off of your work to internalize what the destination might look like for you, what a really great retirement might look like for you. So instead of retiring at 60, you retire at 65, you now have 5 years or 60 months of retirement, of mini retirements that you can weave in along the way. So maybe when you change jobs, you give yourself permission to take 3 months or 6 months off. Maybe if you go back to graduate school, you give yourself permission to take some time off before you go to graduate school and you explore different activities, you explore different adventures. Maybe you travel to Europe, maybe you go to South Asia, maybe you work for a not-for-profit, maybe you get involved in one of your family's businesses, or you explore a different career, just to give you some guidance and some ideas of what the journey could look like and what the end destination might be that gives you a lot of passion and excitement. Think about your parents. How might their journey have been different if they had allowed themselves to take time off along the way and done a half a dozen or a dozen 3 to 6 month mini retirements to explore, to have a feel of what really ignites their passions. And maybe they worked 5 more years at the tail end in order to make all of that work out. What would their journey have looked like? What would your journey to date have looked like if instead of rushing from one job to the next, if instead of deciding you're going to go to graduate school and working right up until the day graduate school starts and then starting your job right after graduation, what would all of that have looked like if you had given yourself to pause, to decompress, to try different experiences, to try different locations? Do you think you might be living in a different country or working in a different career or enjoying different passions in your life? I think it's highly likely that you probably would. So I think this idea of mini retirements pays many dividends along the way. There's a concept in investing called the time value of money. You'd rather have $100 today than in 10 years. And it's the same thing with our personal lives, only it's much different because once time is lost, it's lost. Oftentimes you can make up money that's been lost. A $100 bill from my friend Bob looks the same as a $100 bill from my friend Sue, although 3 months of their life likely look very different. So time is discrete, time is unique, and you want to spend it very, very wisely because that's really all of us have is a set amount of time. Fortunately, none of us know how much time that is, but that's really what we want to optimize for is how do we enjoy, how do we squeeze the most passion and excitement out of this one life that we all get to live. So that's the strategy, that's the idea of today, which is mini retirements. How do you get as much out of life as you can? Remember, you're just borrowing this time, really interest-free from yourself, to enjoy the journey, to enjoy things that you can enjoy when you're 20 and 30 or 50 or 60. that's harder to enjoy when you're in your 70s or 80s. It's almost like summer break from school. I always felt I would have rather had a couple of those months interspersed throughout the year, because by the end of the summer, I was getting a little bored. And a lot of retirees feel that way as well. They get a little bored by the end of their retirement. You're gonna have your go-go years when you can do a lot of things, you're healthy, you're agile, but you know what? You're likely never gonna be healthier and more agile and more mentally acute than you are right now. Imagine borrowing 3 months or 6 months from your 80-year-old self and allowing yourself to enjoy it in your 40s and 50s. I think that's a great return on investment. And I encourage you to consider doing at least some of it. Weave it into what works well for you and make the best of your journey. Make the best of your time that you get and get clarity on what the destination is. Okay, friends, that's it for now. Remember, thumbs for likes, subs for love, and be sure to watch this video where I'm going to share an important strategy to make sure you never run out of money before you run out of life. Until next time, I'm Asul, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, you're only young once. Use this time wisely.